Hello, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today's topic will be container roses or pot roses, if you prefer. And I know a lot of you right now are expecting me to immediately go to the Joy TV rose Cream Miranda, but not yet, because there's such an overlooked group of roses. I think we have to give some attention, and they're perfect for pots, really. That's why I want to give them some attention. And the roses I'm talking about, it's a very special group of roses called the Holthemia roses. And Holthemia roses are excellent for pots because they stand up to dry conditions really well. And what usually happens in pots is we forget to water them, and then the plant gets stressed, and then it gets black spot rust and all these kind of diseases. And but the Holthemias, because they're from the Middle East, is naturally very drought resistant, and they're really healthy, hard-working plants, and they're very special with that bicolor. But one variety I really like of Holthemias is the Holthemia that's called Eyes for You, because this variety is particularly hard-working. It has very large flowers compared to many other Holthemias, and it is very gorgeous, really. But as you can see here, it is not that tall. It is very polite, very round, very shrub growing. Gets no more than 60 centimeters at most, and it is just excellent for pots, really. So don't sleep on Holthemia roses. They're actually very good for pots. Just be aware that some Holthemia roses can get to 120 centimeters, but so many varieties are between 40 to 80 centimeters, so there's a lot of variety to choose from to place into pots. I will say this though about Holthemias: they usually don't have that great a fragrance, but they're really tough, really hard-working plants. You can easily get 4 to 5 flowerings per season out of these guys, and I think that bicolor effect just makes them look so special compared to other roses. So really don't sleep on those when it comes to pots. But yeah, let's do another Holthemia rose. Glorious Babylon Eyes. This is another really good variety of Holthemia roses. The reason I still like Eyes for You a little bit better is because the blooms on Eyes for You are much larger, nearly double the size. But I still think this is such a healthy, floriferous variety of Holthemia. So if you want a bit of a different color, this one can definitely provide that. So yeah, guys, don't sleep on Holthemias. They're actually really hard-working roses for pots that are very good at standing up to those dry conditions. What is the next rose? Well, it is the Chippendale rose. And I usually don't talk that much about this one because I've been growing it for 12 years before it left my garden. It kind of died out one season after I had moved it because it was an old plant, and I knew I could risk killing it when moving an old rose plant. That's just how it goes. But this variety is absolutely amazing for pots. Very compact, very large flowers compared to how compact it is. Not a lot of fragrance, but it does tend to give around 3 flowerings per season, I'll say. But absolutely amazing form factor for pots, this one. And it is really one of the only orange ones I can think of that is decently good for pots, really, in my opinion. So Chippendale, I also think it's called it's called something Cornwall, something like that. That in English, it has another name. You can, don't know if it is Duchess of Cornwall, something like that. You can look it up at Help Me Find. What else do we have here? Yeah, let's take the ones most of you have probably been expecting me to go with. Let's take Joy de Vive, also known as Cream Miranda, also known as Garden of Roses. So many names, but it is an absolutely amazing rose. It is in my top 3 when it comes to roses to place into pots, because just like Chippendale, you have an amazing form factor, you have an amazing color change. It is so floriferous, you wouldn't believe. Like, you will easily get 5 flushes from this one. Very healthy. To be honest with you, it is one of those roses I feel the pictures simply doesn't do justice to how gorgeous it is in real life. But if you can imagine something shaped just like Chippendale, but it gives you these flowers instead that changes a bit with the color, and it gives you like 5 flushes of these very nostalgic, romantic flowers and very perfect leaf health, then you know Joy de Vive or Cream Miranda, it is simply, honestly, it is one of the best pot roses. There's no doubt about it. I would instantly place it into top 3. But it is not my favorite. So what is my favorite pot rose? Well, this is going to get exciting, isn't it? Because it is a very unknown one. It is the Floriana rose. Floriana rose is my favorite pot rose. And why is this Vizier's rose, why is this my favorite pot rose? You're probably all asking. And it is because it only gets to 60 centimeters high. It has a very beautiful shape, fully leafed out. And not only that, it gives such a powerful fragrance, like an 8.5, very citrus with a bit of damask sometimes, but very citrus dominated. Honestly, I really like Floriana as a pot rose. It is so fragrant, so healthy. It has a beautiful color change. When I just bought mine, the blooms were a little bit small, but they're getting bigger now than those 5 to 6 centimeters. They're getting close to 8 centimeters now. So definitely improving also on flower size. But Floriana, I think that is my favorite pot rose. And then I think Joy de Vive is right behind it, and something like Eyes for You also. But really don't sleep on Floriana as a pot rose if you can get it. It is an absolutely amazing pot rose because it has that form factor that's just perfect for pots. It has the health, it has the fragrance, the very powerful fragrance. It is just an amazing rose for pot roses, and it is probably my favorite fragrant rose you can place into a pot. And let's continue here. What else do we have for you over here? We have another good one for pots is Hansestad Rostock Rose. This is another one of those really floriferous, really healthy, really low growing roses you can place into just about any container. They'll do wonderfully, they'll flower a lot, very healthy. Not any fragrance to speak of, but a very beautiful color change on this one. So an absolutely gorgeous rose also that is very, very well tested, like Chippendale and Joy de Vive. They will all do the job wonderfully well. You just have to decide what kind of color you want, really. And what else do we have? Oh, let's take another one of the surprises. And the next surprise is the Camellia Rose. The Camellia Rose, there's probably not a lot of pictures of it, but it is, you can go have a look at the video I did on my channel about the Camellia Rose. It is this little pink rose, very low growing, very polite, rounded shrub growing, not that tall, but it has a wonderful, powerful damask fragrance. Absolutely wonderful damask fragrance on Camellia. I really like I've just discovered I really like a lot of these Vizier's roses because they have a very powerful fragrance along with being very compact. And it is very rare that those two things go together, but that quality for me just makes them perfect for pot roses, really, because I like fragrance and I also like the compact form factor, and a lot of Vizier's roses are actually very good at giving me those two things, really. But let's continue here. And the next one is also a bit of a surprise for you guys because it is a Serbian rose. It is René van Wieckberg. But you guys will love this rose, I'm sure, when you see what it is capable of in pots. And let's just go to this picture here. Can you guys see that picture of René van Weekberg? It is such a wonderful, healthy rose. It has a quite good, decent fragrance to it also, like a 7.5 and 8. Very, very good fragrance. And it has that unique color change at the middle, where as the bloom just opens, it has this more red pink to it, and then it kind of fades out to this colder color. But really don't sleep on that one for a pot rose. It is an excellent pot rose, and you don't see it mentioned a lot, really. I never seen this mentioned for pot roses, but really, it along with Floriana, if you want fragrance, you want health, you want compact shape, this one and Floriana, René van Weekberg here, you really can't go wrong with those two, and I am surprised by how little I see those two used, but I don't think they're that known yet in the rose community. And if there's one thing making these reviews have taught me, it is that people don't like buying things blindly. So I've noticed when I have put up pictures of roses that have nearly no pictures, or reviews or done videos of roses that have nearly no pictures, those roses are doing much more well for those trying to sell them, because people don't like buying things they don't know what they get. But René van Weekberg, absolutely amazing rose for pots. It's also part of the edible series. Apparently it's supposed to taste like ice cream or something like that, but honestly, when I bite into it, it tastes like walnut or something like that, so I'm not really sure. Like, maybe I just had a bad experience. It's not like I'm trying to eat my roses constantly, so but I will say oftentimes they don't really give me the taste that they're supposed to, but I guess it is a nice little curiosity. You can tell your friends that they are for eating also. But let's continue here and see what the next one on my list is. Yeah, the next one is one I've talked about many times. It is Blackberry Nib. Blackberry Nib is a really good pot rose also because of that compact form factor it has. It is not... it will never get above 60 centimeters. It leaves out well. It is a really good rose for growing in those compact places, and it has a very decent fragrance also. Sometimes it gives you a mixture between the fragrance on Deep Secret. There's a mixture between Gallica and Damask, and other times it gives you kind of this red wine note it has from what was it called? The other parent was it Oak Port, I think. But yeah, very good looking rose, very compact. Nothing wrong with growing this one in a pot, really. And let's take the next one. The next one is another Serbian rose. You see, the Serbian roses have the same quality that I like in Messrs roses. They're very compact, low growing roses. And that is very perfect for pots, really. So that is why you're seeing more Serbian roses. You're seeing more Messrs roses in this ranking video or this list, because I think those two breeders, Fenogeno and Messrs, makes excellent roses for containers, really. So, but the next one was Parfum Fashion. Yeah, let's see if I can find a picture of it here. There's a single picture here. But Parfum Fashion has this scent of citrus and a bit of geranium. It is scented kind of like that. You know, these geraniums you can touch and the leaves kind of rub off you on your finger, and you can scent this kind of herbal citrus. They have that kind of scent around the 7.5 to an 8. They're really healthy, very small, very low grown. They're also perfect for pots. So nearly a miniature rose because it only gets to these 40 to 50 centimeters, but can look absolutely gorgeous in a pot, and it is also very, very fragrant. So, but let's continue here. Yeah, Of course, I can't mention this video without mentioning some type of ballerina rose. And ballerina roses, it is important to mention that these are for the larger pots. You need a larger pot when you're planting a ballerina rose because it is a large musk rose. But it does do well in pots. But even though a lot of people mention this, I do want to put my own spin on it because you see the ordinary ballerina gets quite large, and I don't really think most of you are going to go out and buy pots that are as big as a table, really. And because of that, I think another ballerina rose, the red ballerina, is better for most of you guys because the red ballerina is like half the size of the normal ballerina. It is much smaller. It is also more healthy and more floriferous. So I think that is a better one, but it is entirely up to you guys. I just know when you're buying pots that does really large pots, they can get quite expensive, and oftentimes you just want to save a little bit of money and get the more regular sizes, and red ballerina would do better in the more regular size pots than the ordinary ballerina. You also have something like Heavenly Pink and a lot of the other roses from the musk family I often see mentioned in other container pot rose videos, but really what you have to remember is Heavenly Pink also gets very, very large, just like the regular ballerina. You need very big pots for those. But let's continue here. The next one, you probably guessed it. It is another Serbian rose. It is actually a variety I've loved a lot this year in my red rose flower bed. It is the Draga Frela rose. This variety absolutely flowers a lot. It is wonderful compact. The flowers are very, very gorgeous, incredibly big compared to how large the flower or how large the plant is. Honestly, it is such a gorgeous red rose. Not the most powerful in fragrance, like a 6.5 in fragrance, but it is so healthy, so gorgeous, so compact. The flowers are so big compared to the plant. It just looks extremely well made, and it is one of my favorite red roses for flowering because this little plant gets like 40 centimeters or something like that in height, not that tall. So you can really place it into any of those little pots you have, and you have a perfect miniature rose with a lot of red flowers for you, really. So that is a perfect one if you are growing in a place you don't have a lot of space, like a small apartment or something where you just have like a couple of square meters outside. So this one is a really compact one, really good for that. And the next one is Feuillise. Now, Feuillise is one of those I often tend to skip over because there's not as much fragrance on it as Goethe or Laudatio or Blackberry Nib or some of the others. But it actually does have a very, very good form shape and a very good height, and is very floriferous also. And those qualities are very, very good for pots. So it has a very good form factor for pots. So I think this one would do absolutely amazing in a pot too, if you're going for that purple color along with Blackberry Nib. You see a lot of the ordinary purple roses, I recommend they simply get too big for pots, and that is why I think Feuillise is worth mentioning, because it is one of the few purples along with Blackberry Nib you can actually grow in a pot. There's also the Heidi Klum one, but I really don't like the wicker and the health on that one, so that is why I'm mentioning these two instead. But let's continue here. Yeah, I was actually in doubt if I should mention the Cafe Facette rose, because it has been such a disappointment on fragrance, but if you keep an open mind and buy this as a non-fragrant rose and just buy it for that very beautiful color and the fact it blooms a lot, I actually think this is an excellent pot rose. You just shouldn't buy it for fragrance because it doesn't have that powerful citrus fragrance. But I think it is a very floriferous, a very healthy pot rose plant, a container rose plant. And I think it does absolutely amazing in that role. I've just kind of been let down by it on fragrance, so I kind of have a little bit of grudge with this rose, I guess. But I think if you go into it with an open mind and you know it is not going to be fragrant, then I think you will have an excellent flowering and healthy pot rose with a very unique color change. So, but just don't go expecting that powerful citrus fragrance. And yeah, I haven't really mentioned a lot of English roses, so let's go over some of the English roses. And most of these will require larger pots, but let's go over them anyway. The first one is, of course, Olivia Austin. Olivia Austin, amazing healthy, amazingly floriferous. You can easily grow this one in a large pot, and it will look like a $1,000,000 really. It will be constantly green, flowering, and just look amazing. Only issue, no scent, but it will look absolutely amazing, like you're the best rosarian in the world, really. It is, growing that rose nearly feels like cheating. I've said that before, but growing Olivia Austin, it kind of feels like cheating, really, because it is always it just looks amazing always. I don't ever think I've seen an Olivia Austin doing badly. It is just amazingly healthy. So yeah, the next one is of course Princess Anne. Princess Anne, just like Olivia Austin, an amazing rose for larger pots where you'll be absolutely healthy. It'll flower constantly also. But it has this more unique color change that I oftentimes find a little bit more interesting than Olivia Austin. I still really like Olivia Austin, but I think I sometimes like Princess Anne a little bit more. It's hard to tell. But sometimes when Olivia Austin is in full bloom, I'll go like, oh, I really love Olivia Austin more than Princess Anne. But then when I see the color change on Princess Anne, I'll go like, oh, I love Princess Anne more than Olivia Austin. But that's how it is with gardeners. We love the rose that is doing best that time of the week, I guess. But the next one here is Grace Rose. Grace Rose is another amazing Austin rose for pots. It looks absolutely amazing in pots. Yeah, you really don't have to worry a lot about it. In my opinion, after growing it for 4 years, I think, or something like that, it is a bit boring for me because it doesn't have the fragrance. But it is kind of like Princess Anne and Olivia Austin. It will do extremely well for you in pots and look really good, and you don't have to worry that much about it. And I guess that is a quality in and of itself, because we tend to place pots at areas we see a lot, like terraces or places we walk or close to the front door, and you often want those places to look good after all. So that's why I'm cautioning a little bit to pick more healthy varieties, because I know these things have to look really good because they often become a focal point for attention. So unless you have pots everywhere like I do, and that's more to do with Rosarian's greed, as I call it, because that is when you have bought too many bare roots and then you realize, oh, there's not enough space, and then you're like, oh, I'll just go buy a few more pots. So that's why you often see Rosarians at a certain point, they end up with so many pots, because at some point you just run out of soil, and then you're like, oh, I can just buy a pot and it'll do well, I guess. So yeah, be careful with that. When you first get into the habit of just buying a pot and it being easy, you can quickly get a lot of pots, really. And you do have to remember with pots that you have to kind of move them about depending on the season. Like I tend to move my pots closer to the house wall when we get to the winter, and I tend to place them close together for them to kind of shield each other. It's not like you can just leave a pot and it will just do good always. You need to change the soil. You need to, as I said before, peat soil is usually only good for like 6 months, a season really, if you're pushing it. But you need to change soil in these pots, and you need to fertilize, keep them healthy. If you're living in a very warm country, you might want a kind of drip system, a kind of watering system. So do keep in mind that pots aren't maintenance free. They do require a bit of work, but I think they're excellent in the way that you can get roses really close to the house where you can really look at them. And that is why I really enjoy pots, because I'll often put some of my most fragrant varieties in pots around the house. And when I'm just walking around the house, I can stop up and kind of scent these roses. But let's continue here. The next one, these are roses that will do well in pots, but you have to be a bit more careful with watering and feeding them, because they're a little more unforgiving, but they can look absolutely amazing in pots if you do it right. And the first one is Lady Emma Hamilton. This is a bit harder rose to get, but an absolutely amazing rose if you can get it for pots. Now the caveat with this rose is it doesn't like drying out. It is a habit. It has from Charles Austin, one of the parents. And if it does dry out too much for you, the issue is it tends to take a really, really long time before it wants to bloom again. Like if you let it dry out a lot, it might not even bloom for you in that season again. So this is one of those ideal candidates for one of those watering drip systems I talked about, because this one is one of the few you really don't want to let dry out. I keep mine close to my terrace door for a reason, or my anywhere where there's a door really, where I can just open the door and put some water into the pot, because I know that pot or that rose is very, very, it doesn't like drying out. It doesn't like it at all. It won't kill it. It won't do anything that much to the leaves. It'll just stop flowering for you and pretend it doesn't know how to flower anymore. But yeah, the next one is Vanessa Bell rose. I absolutely love Vanessa Bell. It looks absolutely amazing in a pot also. And what I like about it is it has this certain glow to it. It has this wedding bouquet, wedding flower quality to it. This certain glow where it's white and then sometimes a bit yellow and a bit cream and a bit. It just has such a beautiful whale-like quality to it, I guess. I simply love the shape of it. I love everything. It is one of my favorite white roses and one of my all-time favorite Austin roses. Not a lot of fragrance on it though, but absolutely still worth getting. But Vanessa Bell also doesn't like drying out, so you have to also. It is not as bad as Lady Emma Hamilton, but the roses I'm showing you now are a bit heavier feeders, meaning they need a bit more care. But they can absolutely do well in pots. Next one is Boscobel. Boscobel is one I often tell people to get instead of Princess Alexander of Kent, because Princess Alexander of Kent is a very unhealthy rose. Now, I'm not saying that Boscobel has perfect health. It can get a bit of black spot on the lower leaves, but it is for certain a much easier rose to grow than Princess Alexander of Kent. And it has a better fragrance and a very unique look also. So that's why I'm also always telling people, if you're considering Princess Alexander of Kent, maybe you want to consider Boscobel instead, because that one is workable. Princess Alexander of Kent, in my opinion, in many climates, is not workable. it tends to get black spot, defoliate, and don't. It is because those large blooms really stress the plant out. But Boscobel, another amazing rose for large pots. The only issue with Boscobel is if you do get it stressed a bit, it can get black spot on the lower leaves and kind of drop the lower leaves. So that's the only issue with it, but it can look absolutely amazing if you do it right. And next one is some French roses that can also do really well. And the first one is the Annapurna rose. This one can also do absolutely amazing in a pot if you know how to shape it and you know how to cut it to form. It can be an absolutely amazing white rose because it tends to want to produce a lot of leaves also to really leaf it out, so you can't get a more bushy shape to it, which can be a problem with some of the others when they go more vertical. This one still does want to go a bit more vertical than horizontal, but it is definitely something you can work with if you know how to prune your rose. And what is the next one? It is also a French one. It is Red Parfum de Provence. This is exactly the same as Annapurna. It doesn't have the perfect shape because it is a bit more vertical than horizontal. But if you prune it the right way, you can absolutely get it very bushy, very leafed out. And the reason I show these two, Annapurna and Red Parfum de Provence, is they have such powerful fragrances, and if you do them right, you can absolutely get some amazing pots with a lot of fragrance in them. So they are definitely workable if you know how to cut them. If you don't cut them, they'll grow too vertical, so you have to be a bit mean to them and cut to keep those horizontal facing buds or sideways facing buds outwards. So you have to be a bit more mean to them, but they're definitely workable if you want some powerful fragrance in your pots. And the same for Chandos Beauty. If you know how to keep Chandos Beauty in check, it can definitely also work in a pot for that powerful fragrance. And yeah, I think it can be an absolutely amazing pot rose if you know how to cut it and you give it a large enough pot. And an amazing fragrance on Chandos Beauty also. And yeah, I think that was about it. I'm a bit unsure. Did I mention Roald Dahl? Or did I skip it? I actually think I skipped it, didn't I? Yeah, Roald Dahl is another one of those Austen roses that can look absolutely amazing in a pot. Again, it is for the larger pot size, so do be aware of that. Not a lot of fragrance on it, but it can look absolutely amazing in pots. But yeah, guys, if you want my favorites again, my number one favorite is Floriana because that powerful scent and that very good form shape it has for growing in a pot. Next would be Joy de Vivre, I think, and then it's kind of a toss-up. I don't really know what I'll place as number 3. Chippendale is a really good rose, and also think Eyes for You are a good rose. But maybe it should be, I'm thinking to myself here, maybe it should be René van Beekberg. I actually think René van Beekberg, the Serbian rose I showed you guys, I actually think that one would be an absolutely amazing container rose, like you can see. And I know it is very good on fragrance also, and it has that unique color change. So maybe that should be my number 3. But one thing I'm for sure certain of is Floriana and Joy de Vivre. So, but yeah, guys, as I said, don't underestimate Holthemias. The whole species of Holthemias. There's a lot of amazing Holthemia roses. I don't even know if I can show them all to you here. Let's see here. Holthemia roses. As you can see, Holthemias, you can get them in so many different colors and shapes, and they always manage to look decently well. My favorite is Eyes for You, but you can find so many different colors of Althemias, and they all tend to do really well because they are drought resistant. Just remember, there are some large varieties of Althemias, not a lot, but there are some that go to 120 centimeters, and those are, of course, not that suited for pots, but most of them are between those 40 to 80 centimeters, I would say. But yeah, guys, that was it for today. And if you guys have any doubt what to place in a pot, the easiest ones are Olivia Austin and Joy DeVive, I would say, if you want to be certain. Olivia Austin for the large pots and Joy DeVive for the small pots, really. So yeah, that was it. Take care out there, guys.